The first thing that came to my mind when I noticed Feminazi the triggering on Steam was, oh great, another gimmicky game trying to tap into the meme culture and shock value humour. I realised though that perhaps this was unfair, and maybe I was judging a book by its cover. Maybe there was a game underneath that facade, and perhaps the game had more to say about political correctness and feminism than I'd first realised. So does it? For 88 cents, I decided it was worth checking out. Gameplay-wise, you're tasked with travelling the streets and trying to maintain your tolerance and trigger bars for as long as possible. When they fall to zero, the game is over. The longer they stay filled, the higher your score. You can fill your tolerance bar by pressing the acceptance key near cultural minorities. Keeping your trigger bar full can be done in a variety of ways, including using 2 different keys to alternately shame fake feminists and denounce white male oppression. You can also vandalize streets by kicking over rubbish bins and spray painting walls and other objects. Buildings can be entered which give you access to more world environments, along with standalone minigames that can increase your feminist point score independently of the main game. These minigames include such things as a sort of tower lane defense game, a top-down shooter, and a sorting minigame. In addition to all this, you can also customize the looks and gender of your character, and for a game priced at 88 cents, the character creator was surprisingly robust. But what about the game's story, setting, and themes? This is where things start to get a little tricky. Overall, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the quantity and quality of the gameplay mechanics, and could only wish they were accompanied by an aesthetic and story worthy of their class. And it's a shame, really, because it's clear that the developers have the ability to create gameplay worthy of something more narratively and thematically meaningful. The game seems to focus solely on satirizing feminist culture, even to the detriment of its own gameplay. Adventure and action take the backseat, while memes and sarcasm dominate the experience. Of course, as with anything, my appraisal of the humour, themes, and narratives is subjective. There may be an audience out there to whom this aesthetic and narrative is highly satisfying. For me, though, a half-an-hour playthrough is all that is required to experience everything the game has to offer, humour and narrative-wise. Once you get past the satire of the feminist and politically correct culture, you realise there's not much more to be found here. And this has the unfortunate effect of making the game feel less like an adventure and more like a gimmick. As for recommending the game, I'm left in a difficult spot. On the one hand, it was extremely cheap at 88 cents and included more gameplay elements than I expected. But on the other, its gimmicky nature left me feeling hollow, and with virtually no incentive to replay the game whatsoever. I'd say that if this sort of humour appeals to you and you don't mind paying for a one-time only gimmick, then you're safe to give this one a try. For anyone else, I would suggest avoiding this one like the plague.